Line up the D-backs tonight. David Peralta leading it off out in left field once again. Ketel Marte moving up into the 2 spot, playing shortstop. Jake Lamb at third base. Paul Goldschmidt over at first. J.D. Martinez out in right field. A.J. Pollock will be in center or right center. Daniel Descalso at second base. Chris Herman doing the catching for left-hander Patrick Corbin.
Well, there's a sense in Denver that this is starting to slip away from this Rockies ball club. The Diamondbacks only 7-6 against Colorado this year, but they've won 5 of their last 6 games versus the Rockies and 6 of their last 9 here at Coors Field. So there's a little bit of panic and some stressed out nerves in Denver over this weekend. Let's check in now, Bob, with you for your Valley Honda dealer's key to the game.
Well, for Patrick Corbin pitching at Coors Field, the key is always making that slider break. He's had some starts here at Coors Field where it's been a very good pitch for him. He's had other starts where he just couldn't get it to move too much. So hopefully tonight Patrick will have that slider curveball combination breaking here in the thin air.
Yeah, wins over the Cubs, the Astros, the Mets, and the Giants in his last 4 starts. That is 30 1/3 innings during which Patrick has given up only 1 run. That is really, really remarkable. So here are the Rockies, a critical series and a very important game tonight for Bud Black's crew. He said when the Diamondbacks are right there in front of you and you know what's at stake, it's a bigger deal. So this certainly is a big one for them tonight. So they'll turn to their opening day starter. Your Ram truck starting pitcher for the Rockies is the 25-year-old right-hander Jon Gray. 6-3, the ERA over 4. He's made only 14 starts all year. He missed more than 2 months with a broken bone in his left foot.
Well, you talk about reverse splits. This is a guy that's pitched much better here in Denver than he has away from Coors Field. A 2-7 record with an ERA of 6 in 14 starts away from Denver. Going back to the middle of last season, over that same span, he's 6-1 with a 3.05 here at Coors Field.
Rockies have lost 8 of their last 12. They need him to step up. Hopefully the Diamondbacks will have some answers. Let's take a look at Colorado defensively. That's presented by Nationwide Vision Centers.
One change in the outfield tonight. Desmond once again in left. Blackman once again in center. Gerardo Parra, the former D-back, getting a start in right field tonight. It'll be Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story on the left side of the infield. DJ LeMahieu and Mark Reynolds on the right side. Jonathan Lucroy behind the plate once again for right-hander Jon Gray.
And as you said in the open, you don't anticipate as drastic a LeMahieu shift because you've got a left-hander on the mound for the D-backs?
Yeah, and there's a chance if Patrick throws the breaking pitch, either the slider or a curveball, that ball will work its way across the strike zone to the inside part of the plate when LeMahieu could possibly pull it down into that left field corner. So I'm sure with a right-hander we'll see the exaggerated opposite field shift. With Patrick on the mound, not as much.
So here we go. D-backs at 77 wins. They're 19 over 500 and holding a 4.5 game lead over the Rockies for the first National League wildcard spot. David Peralta set to lead it off, and we are ready to go on a gorgeous Saturday evening here in lower downtown Denver.
Yeah, that dreaded P word showed up in a couple of the local columnist stories today. Not Peralta, panic.
It's there.
Yeah.
You know, the Rockies, let's see, they are 25-36 since June 21st. That is the 4th worst record in baseball over that span. So they are really slip sliding away here. Hopefully the Diamondbacks can take advantage. David 0 for 4 last night. He walked and scored a run.
Well, just in case Jonathan Lucroy wasn't into the game yet, here, take that with you.
Ouch.
That long backswing. We see Chris Iannetta get thumped almost nightly back there behind the plate.
Jon Gray is a big dude out there. 6'4", 235, sort of that classic big power right-hand mold. A big-time fastball. 95 and north of that on the radar gun. Peralta drives it to Parra, and it's over his head and off the wall. It's a long, hard single for David to lead off the ball game.
Wow, hit it too good. Just a screaming laser beam line drive halfway up the wall out there in right field. Came right back to Parra. David couldn't have made it to second even if he wanted to. Hit it too hard.
Ketel Marte in the 2-hole tonight. 259 and 4 homers. He was 0 for 2 last night. Lights are on here. It's still a very light sky. Very comfortable evening, almost no wind to speak of. Hard fastball is inside. It's 1-0.
Caught a real break this weekend with the weather. Of course, it might snow tomorrow, but boy, the first 2 games of this series, you couldn't ask for better baseball weather.
It might snow by the 5th inning tonight. There's the rock pile way out there in center. You never know here. But you're right, it has been gorgeous. Peralta takes off. Marte chops it to third. It stays fair for Arenado, and they get him at first. He was right on the line, Nolan Arenado. And the first base umpire, Scott Berry, says out. Let's check.
Kind of surprised Arenado made a play on that ball. It was, I guess it was much more in fair territory than I thought. A bare hand. Ooh, I think he did beat that.
And they will challenge the out call at first base. You saw Torrey put his hand up there right away to hold the umpires. It's been a little back and forth in terms of how demonstrative he needs to be to get a replay, because the umpires were looking in his direction yesterday, and it created some confusion. So Torrey right away today, hold everything, we want to check.
Yeah, I think moving forward with the challenge system, they'll iron out some of the kinks. You know, maybe give the manager a flag or something over there in the dugout to let the umpires know he wants to take a look at that play. But for the time being, just holding up your hand, letting the umpires know we want to take a look.
Well, they must feel very good about their chances to challenge this. 2 batters into the ball game. Alan Campbell, the video coordinator, doesn't miss much. Here's a look.
Well, if he is safe over there at first base, this will create the potential shock and awe first inning that we've seen lately from the Diamondbacks.
Well, they had that chance in the ball game last night. Peralta walked, Iannetta walked, AJ had an RBI single, and you had Goldie and JD Martinez coming up, but they could only get the 1 run. As we found out late in last night's ball game, you can't have a big enough lead here. Safe at first. Infield single for Ketel Marte. Tell you what, when Alan Campbell tells Torey Lovullo, let's challenge this, he's almost never wrong.
You know, and there have been a few where you look at him and you go, boy, is that close? He might be safe, he might be out. And if it is that case, Alan usually doesn't have the Diamondbacks challenge the play, because you have to have clear and convincing evidence, and that time there was clear and convincing evidence.
A chance for Jake Lamb, 257, 27 home runs. That's the hard gray slider. You'll see that slider 88, 89, even 90 sometimes.
Now, you mentioned the big fastball, the hard slider. He also throws an occasional curveball. He has a changeup in his arsenal, but rarely throws it.
He is a power pitcher. And Peralta dancing around back there, and Gray steps off. Jake Lamb has been a tough matchup for John Gray. Jake is 4 for 9 against him with a pair of doubles. Couldn't check his swing on that high fastball, and he's down 0-2. Lamb drives it to Parra, right at him in right field. Boy, he hit that right on the button, but it's allowed out number 1.
Unfortunate, Jake hit that ball right at Gerardo Parra. That's one of the more hardly hit balls he's had recently. Really squared that one up right on the barrel.
Only 317, 33 home runs. 3rd in the National League in RBIs. He's 4th in the majors in OPS. 2 on and 1 out. That's a tapper that stays fair. Arenado will stay on the bag. The force on Peralta. 2 down.
Goldie once again attacking early pitches in at bats. We talked about it just the other day. Most of the season, Goldie had been extremely patient to the point of almost taking a strike every at bat. But more recently, he's been after that first pitch close to the strike zone.
JD Martinez. Last chance to get these runners in. You've got now Marte at second and Goldie at first. Fastball in, it's 1-0. JD doubled, walked, and scored twice last night. He drove in a run. One home run shy of 30 for the year. That's a strike, 1-1. There's that hard slider. It's going to be about 90 miles an hour, give or take. John Gray was Colorado's first-round pick 4 years ago out of the University of Oklahoma. He was their big Friday night starter. He was the 3rd player selected overall in that draft. And the Rockies are undefeated at home this year when John Gray is on the mound. Patrick Corbin waiting for his turn. He'd like a run or two to get started here. 2 on, 2 out, 1-2 on JD Martinez. Pokes that one foul down the right field line. We'll keep going here. A.J. Pollock. A.J. was batting 3rd last night. He dropped him down to 6th in the order tonight. Trying to get some length behind J.D. in this batting lineup. Another 1-2 pitch from John Gray. Lays off a high fastball, and it's 2-2.
And looking at that little tapper to third base by Goldie on the force out of David Peralta at third base. Similar play in the ball game last night. JD Martinez tapped one down to Arenado at third. He turned that one into a double play.
This is well hit. Deep center field. Blackman will watch it go. JD Martinez. That's his 30th. And it's 3-0 Diamondbacks.
Well, that is just an outstanding example of what we talk about, lengthening a lineup. Opposing pitcher has 2 outs in the inning. You get by Paul Goldschmidt with a little tapper down the third baseline. You think you're out of the woods, and then JD Martinez comes up and hits one out to straightaway center field to give the D-backs a 3-0 lead.
5th straight game that the D-backs have scored at least 1 first-inning run. A quick 3-0 lead. That is a big-time jumbo jack from JD Martinez. Free jumbo jack tomorrow at Jack in the Box with the purchase of a large drink. A.J. Pollock now. First inning, the last 5 games, they've scored 14 runs, 8 extra base hits. 449 feet to dead center off the bat of J.D. Martinez. Fastball's in there, and quickly it's 0-2. A.J. 267. He's got 9 homers. Last night he walked, had a pair of hits, tripled in the ball game. Drove in a run, scored twice. He was busy in the 3-hole. Talked to Torrey before the game today about A.J. Pollock batting 6th, and he kind of liked it. He says, you know, I like to lengthen things out a little bit after J.D. Martinez. And also take some pressure off A.J. while he gets his swing back in groove. It certainly has been lately. He's hit safely in 4 straight games. And Gray gets the strikeout. The Diamondbacks get the early lead. J.D. Martinez, number 30, goes 449 feet. And Patrick Corbin has an early 3-0 lead. Undefeated at home this year, but quickly down 3-0. And the early lead for your Ram truck starter for the Diamondbacks, the lefty Patrick Corbin. Patrick has won his last 4 starts, and in those 4 starts, he's given up a total of only 1 run.
I don't even know where to begin looking at the numbers for Patrick Corbin recently. He's just been, quite frankly, the best pitcher in baseball over his last 4 or 5 starts. Everything has been working well for him. He's throwing first pitch strikes, getting ground balls, limiting the damage with runners in scoring position. He has just been on an outstanding roll.
Valley Chevy Dealers gives us a look at the Rockies lineup tonight.
Charlie Blackmon leading off in center field. DJ LeMahieu at second base. Nolan Arenado at third. Mark Reynolds over at first. Ian Desmond will be out in left field with former D-back Gerardo Parra in right. Trevor Story at short. Jonathan Lucroy catching for right-hander John Gray.
0-1 on Blackmon. A .340 batting average that leads the National League. They have to be careful. He's got 6 leadoff home runs this year. Blackmon had a pair of singles in the series opener last night. Already new career highs in homers and RBIs. Good hard fastball from Patrick, and he's ahead 1-2. Chris Herman behind the plate tonight. Are you ready for the LeMahieu shift?
Yeah, Well, it makes us see what it looks like tonight. I mean, it caught us by surprise last night. We looked up as LeMahieu got in the batter's box, and wait a minute, David Peralta must have gone in to get some sunglasses or something. We don't have a left fielder.
That's because he's in center field. It was nuts. Brian O'Nora says no. So it's a full count, 3-2. That was the brain child of Dave McKay, who's responsible for positioning the Diamondbacks outfielders. He went to Torrey before the game yesterday. Had all his paperwork. He had done his homework. He said, hey, look, these are the numbers. Let's try this. What do you think? And Torrey said, I'm all in. And he loses Blackman a leadoff walk. Let's take a look at the outfield now and see how the LeMahieu shift lines up. Pollock is going to stay put in center, and Peralta shades a little over toward left center, and really that's about it. And now AJ starting to wander over there a bit.
I don't think you can shift much at all against a left-handed pitcher for LeMahieu, because if you do, it takes away the off-speed deliveries from Patrick Corbin. If you throw a slider or a curveball in the mid-80s and it happens to work its way toward the middle of the plate or inside, LeMahieu could pull that ball down into the corner.
He's trying to bunt his way on. Corbin's got it. At least he moves Blackman along. So that's an interesting turn in the LeMahieu shift saga. One away for Nolan Arenado. Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks defense. That's brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Peralta, Pollock, and Martinez once again left to right across the outfield. It'll be Lamb and Ketel Marte on the left side. Daniel Descalso and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side. Chris Herman getting the nod behind the plate tonight for left-hander Patrick Corbin.
Here's Arenado leading the majors in runs batted in. 305 and 30 homers. Quite a combination out there right now. You've got Arenado, who leads baseball in RBIs, and Blackman on second. He leads baseball in runs scored. You think that there's a connection there?
I think there might be a connection, yeah. Since most at bats, Nolan Arenado's looking at what he sees right now. Charlie Blackman standing in scoring position.
That's usually how it goes. Patrick ahead 0-2. Corbin is that rare pitcher who's given Nolan Arenado a hard time. Patrick, in just over 30 at bats, has held Arenado to a 188 batting average. So it's a pretty fair sample size there. Those are the numbers. Only one home run. Missed with a slider. Those numbers even more impressive when you consider that Arenado just hammers left-hand pitching. 410 versus lefties this year. Look at that.
Patrick's doing something right.
Sure is. That fastball got away. It's 2-2. Arenado singled, walked, scored a run last night. He also struck out twice. Mark Reynolds, the cleanup man, on deck. Arenado had a hard time with some of those big slow curveballs from Taijuan Walker. Taijuan got his second straight win last night, won 5 innings. Struck him out. Boy, tied him up there with a good slider. 2 outs.
Now we talked about that slider as the key to the game for Patrick Corbin. If he can get that kind of movement on that pitch, he'll be just fine any venue that he happens to pitch in.
Here's Reynolds. 272, 28 home runs. Reynolds last night walked, struck out twice. He walked twice. 4th in the National League in strikeouts. Fastball away, missed. It's 1-0. How about this? If the Diamondbacks can get out of this inning with the lead, they will have had the lead for 44 consecutive innings.
Wow.
That's how you win 8 in a row.
That's playing downhill baseball.
Which is better than uphill baseball. Corbin behind on a dangerous hitter, 2-0. Missed with a fastball. We've got Ian Desmond on deck. It's 3 balls and no strikes. Hold on there, Mark. Paul Emmel says strike 1.
It's pretty hard to throw ball 4 on a 3-0 pitch. Just a little off the outside corner there.
Full count, 3-2. Went to that 2-seam fastball. Patrick's been throwing that pitch more and more often lately. He's got the straight 4-seamer and that sinking 2-seam fastball. Mixing in that slider, then the slower curveball, and sticking with that changeup. He's got more pitches now, it seems, than ever before. Full count on Reynolds, 3-2. Jammed him. Martinez coming in, long run, and JD runs it down. Patrick Corbin gets a 3-0 lead, puts up a 0 here at Coors. Here in Denver, fans don't miss out on the wild card battle next week. It's the fight for postseason. D-backs and Rockies at Chase Field. This is a special 3-day weekend sale, fans. We're giving you amazing ticket prices for that 4-game series against Colorado that starts back home a week from Monday. This weekend only. You can get tickets for as low as $2 for that series, September 11th through the 14th. dbacks.com/fight. For those 4 games against the Rockies at Chase Field, a $2 outfield reserve seat. A bleacher seat is $5, and we will get you a lower level baseline reserve seat for those 4 games against the Rockies for $10. And that sale is good only during this series against the Rockies, so it ends tomorrow evening. Check out dbacks.com/fight.
And once again, with those kind of prices, you know, get your soccer team together, get your Little League baseball team together, get some neighborhoods together, and come on out to the ballpark.
$2 a ticket.
Come on.
Sit in the bleachers for $5. But that is a quick 3-day sale, good during only this weekend. 0-2 on Daniel Descalso. Descalso had maybe the game's biggest hit last night, that 3-run pinch hit homer. His second this year. Gray gets the strikeout, went to a hard changeup. That'll bring up the catcher, Chris Herman. Chris at 179 homers. Hit a home run in his start behind the plate Wednesday night against the Dodgers. He's now hit safely in 3 straight games. D-backs the early lead if you're just joining us. J.D. Martinez. A 3-run homer to dead center in the first inning. His 30th of the year. D-backs really seem to have their mojo working at Coors Field. Torey Lovullo's team has won 6 of its last 9 games in this ballpark. Two and two. These are two teams which have been headed in opposite directions as of late. D-backs have won 8 straight, 10 of 11. While the Rockies have dropped 8 of their last 12. And suddenly that wild card gap is 4.5 games. Full count, 3-2. Bounce to shortstop, backhanded by Story. 2 outs.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Well, we've seen Patrick Corbin drop down some exceptional bunts lately, but no need to do that here. Bases empty, 2 outs. What did you make of DJ LeMahieu bunting his first time up tonight?
A little surprising. You know, I was thinking back to the days of the late Don Baylor used to sack bunt in the first inning of games. He used to play his infield in the first inning of games. He said you never know which run is going to be the winning run in this ballpark. Bud Black maybe trying to jumpstart his team's offense, getting a runner in scoring position right away, but gotta say I was a little surprised.
So it didn't necessarily have anything to do with the LeMahieu shift.
I don't think so.
It's just fun to say that.
It is. LeMahieu.
3-1 on Corbin. Leadoff man Peralta on deck.
What'll really be interesting to see is if other teams adopt the opposite field shift on DJ LeMahieu.
As you see a video of that play that AJ ran down and caught, you'd think, well, we should do that too. Pretty convincing evidence. Well, how about that? John Gray walks the pitcher with 2 outs in the second inning. And that'll bring up Peralta. First walk issued by Gray. David, his first time up, belted a ball off the wall over the head of Gerardo Parra in right field, but he hit it so hard he had to stop at first base. A long single. David has been nearly a .330 hitter in this ballpark. He's played 20 games at Coors Field. 1 for 1 so far tonight.
It's always a double-edged sword when your pitcher gets on base at Coors Field. Yeah, you like having base runners, you like having some traffic out there behind John Gray, but boy, if David would happen to hit a triple right now,
get some oxygen. Well, Patrick's still a very young guy and a very good athlete, as we know. He's used to running up and down the basketball court, so maybe it wouldn't wipe him out as much as some other guys. But you're right, he would need a minute. That next guy made a quick out.
Yeah.
You might have to call time. This is tapped to first. Reynolds is right there. Bottom 2 on the way. It's 3-0 D-backs.
From Coors Field, Patrick Corbin has had outstanding numbers the last 4 starts. The fastball command is very good. The slider's been excellent over that span. But one thing Patrick Corbin credits his success to is a conversation with Chris Iannetta. Now, August 1st, he got walloped by the Cubs, gave up 8 runs. August 12th, he had a rematch with the Cubs. And before that game, Chris Iannetta, as CI told me, just went out there and told him how good he is. Told him how much the team needs him to pitch well. Corbin puts it, he told me to get it together, basically. And so maybe a little push sometimes helps, guys.
Yeah, you're right, Jody. Whatever direction he got pushed, it was the right one, because he's beaten the Cubs, the Astros, the Mets, and the Giants ever since.
Yeah, just trying to find which buttons to push for each pitcher to get the best out of them on the day they take the ball. And Chris Iannetta apparently hit the right button.
Ian Desmond, 285. Do you think even at this level that a major league player, and a guy like Patrick who's been around several seasons now, needs to be reminded every now and then, hey, you're a good pitcher, you're a good player? I imagine all the data and everything that you get hit with, and the slumps and the highs and the lows, you might lose sight of that from time to time.
I think one of the biggest issues for any professional athlete in any sport is a lack of confidence. You know, you've gotten to this level for a reason, done something right to get here. You just need to continue to do what it was that got you to this level. Sometimes you get out there and you get banged around a little bit and start to have a little bit of self-doubt, and then instead of throwing your pitches with conviction, you're throwing them hoping that the other team doesn't hit it too hard.
Ketel Marte, what a play! Goldie gets the tag on, Ketel Marte outstanding at shortstop for the D-backs.
I'll tell you, for Marte, we talk a lot about it with outfielders, taking a good line to the ball, and it's real easy to see on a fly ball to the outfield, but not as evident for infielders. Ketel Marte always seems to take the right angle to get to that ball before it gets to the outfield.
Only able to get the tag on and get that glove out of there with Desmond running full speed up the line. So one out for former D-back Gerardo Parra. Parra having a big year in Colorado. He's putting up some impressive numbers. His second year with the Rockies, .337 and 10 homers. Talking about that confidence level with a guy like Patrick, that's got to be, Bob, the difference between managing a young team and the team like you had that was mostly veterans.
Hey, even the veteran players, though, from time to time, you need to put your arm around their shoulder and tell them how much they mean to the team, how important they are, and how much their teammates are counting on them. Anybody likes that kind of encouragement and that affirmation that, yeah, I'm good, and yes, I belong here, and yes, I'm going to get the job done.
I guess especially in a game that's essentially built around failure. Now we've seen Torrey have those one-on-one conversations from the first day here. In the dugout talking to players one-on-one. 2-2 on Gerardo Parra. Reaches out and pokes that one down the line, but it's in the seats and out of play. Gerardo Parra in there today against Patrick Corbin. Parra hits lefties, I mean, really well. .368. One home run. No Carlos Gonzalez in the lineup tonight for Bud Black. Instead, it's Parra in right field. Even though Cargo had a couple of doubles last night. He does not hit lefties as well. Parra drives this deep left center field. Peralta at the track, and he runs it down.
That's one thing, as an outfielder in this ballpark, on a ball like the one Parra just hit, you have time to look off the baseball 2, maybe 3 times to see where you are in relation to that fence as you're pursuing that fly ball, because the ball is going to hang up in the air forever.
You know, ever since you brought up that point, I've looked for it here, and you're absolutely right. It just stays up in the air longer here. It's a very odd thing.
You're on the moon.
Trevor Story. Story doubled and knocked in 3 runs last night. 1-0. 231. He's got 18 homers. Leading the National League in strikeouts. We've got Story #1 in strikeouts, and Reynolds, who's 4th. A lot of swing and miss in this lineup, at least in certain parts for Bud Black. Corbin has retired 5 in a row since the leadoff walk to Charlie Blackmon. Saw Chris Herman with those fingers. I want it up, get it up, elevates the fastball. Story's a guy that will often chase that pitch. He lays off that time, and it's 2-2. Slider missed it. It's a full count. Lucroy, the catcher, on deck. In the air, center field for Pollock. 6 in a row set down by Patrick Corbin. D-backs lead it 3-0.
This day in baseball history, we flash back to the 2002 season when Mark Grace, the Diamondbacks were getting walloped 19-0. Gracie volunteered to pitch the 9th inning, and one thing we quickly learned about Gracie, he's a fly ball pitcher.
That was David Ross, right?
Yeah, got Jeff Reboulet and Wilkin Ruan to fly out. Then David Ross hit that long home run to left field. Then got Tyler Houston to fly out to right field to end the inning. Don't bring him in if you're looking for a ground ball double play.
Jeff Reboulet as in no way. Here's Ketel Marte. Well, that ended up being, in a funny way, one of the highlights of Gracie's career.
Yeah, and believe it or not, it really broke the tension on what was an ugly night at then Bank One ballpark. The Dodgers were just putting a whipping on us that night, and Gracie volunteered. He had never pitched at any level, not Little League, not high school, not college, not summer ball. Went out there and took the ball and only gave up the one.
Ketel Marte bangs that right back up the box. He's 2 for 2. It's a leadoff single in the 3rd. Four hits for the D-backs. Brings up Jake Lamb. Well, Gracie proved he's no Daniel Descalso. Daniel has been terrific in that role this year. Fortunately, it's only happened a couple of times. Jake Lamb lined out hard to right. His first time up, hit it right at Gerardo Parra. Ketel, as always, bringing a very strong shoe game to the table.
Indeed.
Got those bright red kicks.
Got to do something about the oven mitt, though. There's not enough neon color on it.
It is a bit subdued compared to the rest of the outfit.
Yeah, get a yellow strap for the oven mitt, and he'd be right there like he usually is.
Dressed, as you like to say, like a bag of Skittles.
Like a bag of Skittles.
0-1 on Lamb. Uh-oh. There's our boy. Now Dinger looks like he's covered in Skittles, actually.
I think that's a rash.
Don't let him near the kids. There's something about Dinger that's never been quite right. Cattell runs the bases very well, but he's only got one stolen base all year.
It looked like he was trying to get a maximum lead on that last pickoff attempt, ever so slightly leaning towards second base as the pickoff was thrown to first.
Popped it up behind shortstop. Shift is on. Arenado drifting out there, and he's got it. Here's Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie hit into a fielder's choice. His first time up, scored on J.D. Martinez's 3-run homer. Goldie has not seen much of John Gray, only 6 at bats, but he's hitless with 3 strikeouts against Gray. Coming into tonight, 4 base hits shy of 1,000 for his career. One and one. That Gray hard slider coming in 89-90. John Gray has that velocity and really the attitude to be somewhat Coors Field proof, if there is such a thing. He's up to the challenge. He wants to be the guy that succeeds in this ballpark, and in 5 home starts this year, he is 4-0, and in his career at Coors Field, he's 11-3, which is pretty remarkable. But he trails this one 3-0. 50 pitches so far, 33 strikes, 1 and 2 on Goldie. Well, tapper to short. Story, LeMahieu, no chance to get Goldschmidt at first.
That particular ball just not really hit hard enough to turn 2 that time. LeMahieu made the throw on to first base, but Goldie beat the relay easily. J.D. Martinez will take the at bat with 2 down and a runner on.
J.D. his first time up, hit one 449 feet to dead center for his 30th home run of the year, and his 14th as a Diamondback. So he has now scored a run, J.D. Martinez, in 7 consecutive games. And that was unusual for John Gray. He's a guy that doesn't give up a lot of home runs, only 7 all year. This is his 15th start. J.D. came up, 2 on, 2 out in the first, and just crushed one over the head of Blackman into the pine trees out there in center.
Out there where Bambi lives.
Or the guy with his flute. Who was that again?
Miguel Batista.
Was it a flute, violin?
It was a flute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoom ball, and it's 2-0.
He kind of turned that whole area into a Zen garden out there in center field.
Go out there for some quiet meditation, the babbling brook.
New age music.
Sure. Very Yanni-like of him.
Well, unfortunately, Yanni got directly in the line of sight for the batters at home plate, and we had to stop the game momentarily to get Miguel to move out of the pine trees.
Well, the good news for him was that was a bigger distraction than his flute playing.
Yeah.
So that's a mild upset. JD ahead 3-0. We've got A.J. Pollock on deck. Another 3-0 strike from Paul Emmel. Little roller to shortstop. Story the short way for the force on Goldie. That gets us to the home half of the third. 3-0 D-backs.
Bottom half of the third inning here at Coors Field. Hey fans, watch the drive to the pennant with MLB.TV every night on every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live, plus get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Sedona Reds scattered among the purple here at Coors Field on a gorgeous Saturday evening. Patrick Corbin with a 3-0 lead as Jonathan Lucroy, the Rockies catcher, leads off the home half of the third. Lucroy 0 for 5 last night. He struck out twice. Patrick a leadoff walk to Charlie Blackmon. Since then he's retired all 6 he's faced. Slider missed it. It's 1-2. Jonathan Lucroy, acquired by the Rockies at the trade deadline from Texas. He's only played 23 games with Colorado. Spent his first 7 big league seasons in Milwaukee. That one gets by Corbin. Marte is there to collect it. 7 straight retired by Patrick. Patrick Corbin this year, when getting at least 3 runs of support, is 11-3. He got 3 runs in the top of the first on a J.D. Martinez homer. That he hit off John Gray. Here's Gray, his first time up tonight.
18 strikeouts in his 28 at bats. He does have a home run to his credit this year.
He's a big dude.
First time through the order, Patrick Corbin with 6 first pitch strikes through the first 9 hitters.
He has walked 1, struck out 1 so far. 40 pitches, 23 for strikes. Charlie Blackmon will be next, the leadoff man. Missed upstairs, and it's 2-2. That's called strike 3.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
That's my jam, man. That's the best for me. That's the best walk-up song in MLB. It just kind of works. I know you like the harder heavy metal type stuff or the classic rock.
Yeah, this is not a good ballpark for me.
Why?
Well, I'm a big Joe Walsh fan. Maybe the biggest Joe Walsh fan. And as you well know, when the Rockies win here at home, they play Rocky Mountain Way by Joe Walsh. I love to hear that song, but not under these circumstances.
Oh, that's quite a conflict.
Yeah, I'll check it on my iPad when I get home.
Blackmon walked his first time up. He has been the Rockies' only base runner so far. That missed somewhere, and it's 2-1. Charlie Blackmon hits left-hand pitching. This is no gimme. How about this? 340 against lefties and righties. That's what you want from your leadoff man. Doesn't matter who's out there.
Yeah, the numbers, the on-base percentage and slugging, almost the same. Not too far off. He's just really developed into one of the better players in the National League.
Sure has.
No two ways about it.
He's going to be right up there in the MVP vote at the end of the year. That's a bouncer to Ketel Marte. Patrick Corbin has retired 9 straight. He leads it 3-0. The D-backs fourth. They lead the Rockies 3-0. D-backs fans will remind you as the fight for postseason continues and you're not able to watch the games on your TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device. Use Fox Sports Go. It's presented by your Valley Honda dealers. Just download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona and the D-backs with you wherever you go. AJ struck out his first time up against big right-hander John Gray. JD Martinez, a 3-run homer in the first inning, has been all the scoring so far. Just glancing out at the out-of-town scoreboard, I have to ask you, because you keep track of these things, did you watch any of the Cub game today?
I saw a little bit of it, not too much.
I mean, look at all those numbers. What happened there, Hank?
The Cubs were way ahead at one point. I think 14-2 or 14-3, something like that.
How about if we win this 3-0 and they have the Coors Field game over there, 14-12?
That works. Just bring home a win. It doesn't matter how you get it. Let's check and see what the wind was doing at Wrigley today.
2-2 on AJ.
Left to right at 9 miles per hour. If it's not blowing in, Wrigley's a hitter's park.
Right.
If it's blowing across or out, obviously, you have a field day like they did today.
AJ shoots one into the left center field gap. He's headed for second, and he's in there standing up. 27th double for AJ Pollock.
You can feel that one coming when AJ gets outfielders moving laterally as they field the ball, like Charlie Blackmon is when he gets to this one. That's when you take a little more of a risk. It's going to take Blackmon a step or two to wheel around and fire back to the infield. The throw well offline. AJ in easily with a leadoff double.
AJ's now hit safely in 5 straight games. Here's Daniel Descalso. Hit the big home run here last night. He struck out his first time up tonight against John Gray. You can never have too many runs. Daniel played the last 2 seasons here in Colorado, exactly 200 games with the Rockies after coming over from St. Louis. Descalso, to me, Bob, has been the kind of player that you have to have on your team to really appreciate. We watched him the last couple of years in Colorado. I think, okay, he's a guy, a nice player, but
solid player, yeah.
But when you have him on your team, you really appreciate everything that he can do.
And the way he goes about his business, a very professional. He's been through a lot of battles before. He's been on good teams. He's been on bad teams. And he can sense when things are going the wrong direction. And as a veteran, he's one of the guys that will speak up in the clubhouse or on the planes or on the team buses and rally the troops.
He's a guy that's played in over 40 postseason games from his days in St. Louis, including a couple of World Series. 2-2. Does that stuff matter in September, guys who have played on contenders like that?
I think it does. Initially I didn't, but once you go to the postseason and you realize all the ramifications, it changes. It's not the same game you've been playing all season. Your pregame routine is interrupted by the media. You try to go out to the cage for batting practice and there's 700 people on the field. Everything changes, and it helps if you have somebody who's been through it before and can alert the other players, hey, this is not going to be like regular batting practice. Get your warm-up hacks in the cage. You go straight up to the batting cage, get your swings in, and get straight back inside again so you can avoid that media gauntlet surrounding the batting cage every day. Timing of everything is going to be a little bit off from what it was in the regular season.
2-2.
And the intensity of the games themselves. I mean, as much as we try to generate a playoff-like atmosphere during the regular season, there is nothing like playoff baseball. The best way I heard it put was it's a 90-foot war. Every 90 feet becomes so vitally important. Every pitch, every play, every at-bat. It is the best.
That's why winning that first wild card and getting to host that game on October 4th is so critical for the Diamondbacks' postseason chances. You get that game at home, you win it, and there's no telling how far you can go. It is the fight for postseason. Still 2-2. That stays fair for Reynolds. That moves Pollock into third. 1 out.
Well, it took a while to get it done, but that ground ball to the right side moves A.J. Pollock up to third base with only 1 out in the inning. Well, you can score him without the benefit of a base hit.
Here's the Herminator. Grounded to shortstop his first time up tonight. Infield will come in now for Colorado. Everybody on the edge of the grass. Pollock at third, 1 out. Another hard slider from Gray. It's 1-0. Chris has hit safely in 3 straight games. Do you have to manage differently in the postseason? Did you have to?
We pretty much stuck to the program, even to the point of playing our bench guys in Game 6 against Andy Pettitte. Greg Colburn got the start. Jay Bell got a start in that ball game. You know, we figured this is what we've done all year long. When there's a lefty on the mound, we get our right-handed hitters in there and have a well-balanced bench behind them. So we kind of stuck with the same game plan until Game 7.
Then all bets are off.
Yeah. And you got a big, tall left-hander that says he's ready to pitch Game 7 after starting Game 6. That kind of changes your plan.
Chris Herman ahead, 2 balls and 1 strike. I guess there are some managers, or have been, who've been in those big games, and suddenly maybe they get a little panicky and they change, as you said, what they've been doing all year long.
And sometimes I think maybe the situation calls for you to maybe step outside the boundaries a little bit from what you've done all year. But for the most part, I think the players appreciate it and respond to it much better if you just do what you've done all year.
Here's a base on balls for Herman. Patrick Corbin, the hitter now. Now, managing your pitching staff in the postseason might be a different deal. I thought Terry Francona, for instance, did a tremendous job in changing the way he managed his pitching staff and his bullpen in the postseason last year.
And he had the personnel to do it with. You know, that's always the key to any move like that, is to have the people in place that can handle the added workload.
And it helps to have a guy like Andrew Miller. He can run out there for 2 or 3 innings at a time every day.
I thought it was kind of funny when everybody during the postseason last year was saying, oh, this is the wave of the future. This is what every team's going to do now. They're going to have a guy that comes in and throws 2 or 3 innings of relief every night. Well, no, that's not going to go that way. It just can't happen. In a short series, when you're playing for all the marbles, yeah, maybe you do something way out of the ordinary like that. But over the course of 162 games, Andrew Miller would be cooked by the end of April.
And there are only so many Andrew Millers to go around.
Yeah.
There's Tony Perez-Chica coaching at third. You saw Patrick square to bunt that time. Arenado came charging in from third base.
Well, this is that Joe Madden situation, that safety squeeze bunt. If the bunt is good and gets far enough away from all the defenders, A.J. Pollock probably come home from third and score.
Arenado has to stay on the bag. Herman takes off for second. Yeah. And he's in there. A.J. stays put at third. A stolen base for Herm the Worm. We've seen the Diamondbacks, Bob, over the last week or so start to get aggressive again on the bases. That personality they had back in April and May.
I don't think it's a coincidence that A.J. Pollock has been heating up lately, and the running game suddenly has become more of a forefront for the Diamondbacks, whether it's A.J. or Ketel Marte, or in this case, Chris Herman. Take advantage of every 90 feet.
Infield stays in with 2 strikes on Corbin. And Patrick strikes out. Up to David Peralta here.
You know, I think back to the 2002 World Series when Mike Scioscia's Angels were playing small ball every game, hit and run, stealing bases, bunting guys up into scoring position, squeeze plays, and the next spring everybody wanted to say, well, are you guys going to go to a small ball offense since it worked so well for the Angels? Well, maybe not.
It's all personnel, right?
Yeah.
You got to have the guys to do it.
I mean, I give a lot of credit to Mike Scioscia that year for understanding the strengths and weaknesses of his own team and going with the strengths, and it worked out for him, and they won a World Series. But not every team was built the same way those Angels were in '02.
Chance to tack on 2 more runs here. 2 on, 2 out for Peralta, who has singled and grounded out. Well, those trends always, as you said, translate into the next season. I mean, when the Royals showed up a few years ago, oh, we got to have 3 big guys at the end of the bullpen. Everybody needs 3 guys who throw 100 back there. And then there was the Andrew Miller model, and it's always going to be something. Peralta down 0-2.
Well, if the Diamondbacks get deep into the postseason this year, the model for them, I would imagine, is your starters going deep in the game, because that's kind of been what Torre has preached to this team all season long, and specifically to the starting pitchers. Give me 21 outs. In a day and age where a lot of pitchers get into that 5th inning and they're constantly looking into the dugout, looking for help. Come get me, come get me. Well, Torre doesn't want his guys to think that way.
He's been consistent on that point since the first day. 0-2 on David. How much of a factor do you think that's been in the Diamondbacks' success this year? The idea that the starting pitchers have his confidence.
I think that's a major part of the success the Diamondbacks have had. Everything starts with your starting pitching, and if that's not in good shape and the guys aren't doing what you expect them to do, it can ruin a season before you even get started. Your bullpen is gassed before the month of May. You're starting to dip into your minor league system. Those guys end up getting overworked.
Ray wanted that one, a hard slider, but Paul Emmel wasn't biting back there, and it's 2-2. Gray's already at 80 pitches, 50 strikes. David was quickly down 0-2. He's pulled to Goldie. Full count 3-2. We've got Pollock at 3rd, Herman at 2nd, and 2 outs. Ketel Marte on deck. Oh no! Paul Emmel rings up Peralta on a pitch that appeared to be outside. Ouch.
DJ LeMahieu is up. We saw the big shift last night with Taijuan Walker, the righty, that commands that fastball really well. Today, with Patrick Corbin, the left-hander on the mound, not seeing the shift. He bunted in his first at-bat. Dave McKay, who came up with the great plan, it was great last night because DJ went 1 for 5. He told me that the last 70 batted balls by LeMahieu did not have a hit to left field. This was off a fastball. So DJ last night said, look, I hit it to left enough, and if I hit one over there and no one's there for a triple, it'll even out. But the thing is, he hasn't hit one to left off of a righty, off of a fastball in quite a while, guys. So that was the backup info from Dave McKay.
Well, Jody, they'll not use that drastic shift with the left-hander out there in Patrick Corbin, but as you said, LeMahieu tried to bunt, which seemed odd his first time up. And it's 1-1 on DJ LeMahieu. Torey Lovullo called it a super shift times 10. All the brainchild of Dave McKay. They thought, LeMahieu last night, who just makes his living going the other way. They saw him try to hook the ball down the left field line a couple of times last night, so they, in a sense, considered that a win.
Yeah, we said the psychological effect of that shift got LeMahieu away from what he's normally very good at, trying to do something he doesn't do well.
Well, he said after the game last night he could have just pulled a homer down the left field line with a ground ball, and he was probably right, but they went all in. They did it with a couple of runners on base. A lot of trust in his coaching staff for Torey Lovullo. And sure enough, LeMahieu drives one to deep right center field, and it's high off the wall, and it caroms well away from A.J. Pollock. LeMahieu will stop at third. It hit high up off that wall right in front of the Rockies bullpen and almost rolled all the way back to second base. It's a triple for LeMahieu, his second this year.
Well, I wasn't expecting that carom off the wall out there. LeMahieu drives it to that gap in right center near the 375 mark in front of the Rockies bullpen and hits something very hard on that fence. Look how far that ball ricochets back to the infield. Fortunately, LeMahieu not a burner on the bases. Otherwise, that's probably an inside the park home run.
Yeah. That's the Rockies' first base hit tonight against Patrick Corbin. LeMahieu leads off the fourth with a triple. And here's Arenado, who struck out his first time up. He didn't go. Scott Barry down there at first. Rockies in this series so far 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. As we told you last night, the feeling here for a while now has been they just cannot get that big hit in the big spot. Same thing the Diamondbacks were going through for about 6 weeks this summer. The Rockies have been bitten by that bug right now at the most important time of the year.
Well, they say in real estate, location, location, location. In baseball, it's all about timing. You know, just about every team in baseball is going to have hot streaks. They're going to have cold streaks, and then they're going to have some times in the middle. You just want to make sure that your timing is right on your peaks and valleys.
Well, this is the guy you want up there if you're Colorado. Nolan Arenado hitting .396 with runners in scoring position. That's second best in baseball, behind only Washington's Daniel Murphy. Patrick behind 2 balls and 1 strike. Tremendous block there by Chris Herman, who had to slide behind the hitter. Is that hard to do, Bob, when you've got to slide to the side that the hitter is on like that?
Oh, absolutely. Occasionally you'll get in there behind the hitter so far that you lose sight of the baseball, but that time Chris Herman able to slide over there. Not only that, but when the ball hits in the batter's box, what's the first thing you see a hitter do when he walks up to the plate? He starts digging big holes in that batter's box, and that pitch was over there in that area where players dig their foothold. Stop that one perfectly.
Fastball is up. Arenado gets a free pass. First 2 have reached in the Rockies' fourth. Second walk of the ball game issued by Patrick Corbin, who had retired 9 straight batters coming into this inning. And now here's Mark Reynolds. Reynolds flied out to right his first time up tonight. He can tie it up with one swing, or he can strike out. He's fourth in the National League in strikeouts. Reynolds got off to a big start at the plate this year. He's still belting the occasional homer, but he's cooled off. He's hitting under 250 since June the 1st. Boy, everything for Patrick in this inning is up. 60 pitches, only 32 for strikes. Third base for Lamb. They get one. Little trouble there for Descalso to get it out of the glove. LeMahieu is home, and the Rockies are on the board. It's 3-1. They trade the run for 2 outs there.
The right guy running to lose the handle on the ball out there at second base momentarily. Mark Reynolds not streaking down that first base line. Descalso had enough time to recover, find the handle, and throw on to first to complete the double play.
How big is a play like that in this ballpark?
In any ballpark, but especially in this ballpark. Yeah, you finish that double play as opposed to allowing Reynolds to reach first base. The inning continues, and we know what happens when you face more hitters than you should in an inning.
Right. I mean, the whole inning feels completely different right now than it did a moment ago. Base is empty, 2 outs. 1-0 on Desmond.
Patrick's back out of the windup again. Nobody on base. I mean, there's always stress on that pitcher out there on the mound, but a lot of the stress has been relieved by eliminating the base runners.
How different has Patrick's body language been during this 4-game winning streak?
I was going to say it just a moment ago. Even right now, look, head up, looking around the field. He'll occasionally peek down at his shoes, but well, there was a stretch of 5 or 6 starts where you didn't see Patrick Corbin's face. He was always looking down at the ground.
1-2 on Desmond. He just seems to carry himself with a lot more confidence, and he's got a lot more conviction in his pitches. I think that really ugly start at Wrigley Field where he just got clobbered was really productive in the long term. It seemed to be a big wake-up call for him. Foul ground. Goldie drifting over there. Looks like he's got room. And that's the end of the inning, but the Rockies get one. It's 3-1 Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks' fifth inning. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, and Jody Jackson along the way. The Diamondbacks and the Rockies, the State Farm winning combo. I tell you what, when you're winning all these games like the Diamondbacks have been, 8 in a row in 10 of their last 11, you're going to get on this list. Our State Farm winning combo. They have now led for 47 consecutive innings.
Nice. Watch out, you Brooklyn Robins. We're right on your tail.
I believe Casey Stengel may have played for the Brooklyn Robins. J.D. Martinez, a 3-run home run in the first inning, his 30th of the year. Has been all the D-backs scoring so far. Marte's had a good night, 2 for 2, a pair of singles. He scored a run. Last time the Diamondbacks won 9 straight games, August of 2011. That one caroms off Gray. When Mayhew gets over there, they just do get Marte at first. One down for Jake Lamb. Jake 0 for 2. Right now he's stuck in a 5 for 37 skid. You'd like to see him get going here in the second half of the year, late into the second half of the year. Dave Magadan, the hitting coach. Gray will throw that occasional curveball up there. It's 1-0. Jake hitting .206 since the All-Star break. Mayhew way back on the outfield grass at second. It's a funny thing, Bob, about Jake Lamb. You know, since the All-Star break, he's got 7 home runs. He's got 30 RBIs in 40 games, but that average is just sitting there right about 200. It's kind of the same way it went for him last year.
You like the increased patience. He's working a lot of deep at bats, taking his walks, but when he does get a pitch in the strike zone, you'd like to see a little more aggression in the swing, a little more anger in the swing.
Three and one. Goldie 0 for 2. He's on deck. Goldie still without a base hit in this series. Oh, man. Boy, Paul Emmel.
It's like the 4th or 5th time he's just called the check swing on his own back there behind the plate without appealing down to the corner umpires.
That's the crew chief back there calling the balls and strikes. Just did get a piece of that slider.
Just gets a piece of it that time.
Rockies have the shift on. Trevor Story, the shortstop, on the first base side of second. LeMahieu back in the outfield grass. 3-2 to Jake Lamb. Ball 4. Third walk issued by John Gray. Here comes Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie has walked twice in the series. He's scored twice, but he is 0 for 5 so far. Missed in with a fastball. It's 1-0. Goldie 4 home runs and 12 RBIs in 7 games at Coors Field this year. He loves to hit in this ballpark. He's funny about ballparks. You'll ask him and he'll have no clue. What? No, I don't know. I don't pay attention.
That's the mark of a good hitter. Doesn't matter,
isn't it?
Throw the bases down in the parking lot, he'll get hit.
He is a .315 career hitter here. John Gray coming up on 100 pitches, just over 90 right now. And the bullpen. It was a busy night for both bullpens last night. We saw both Estevez and Roscup in the game last night. Hitters count here 2-1. Goldie blasts it down the line in left, and it is foul. Brian O'Nora right on the line. Jake Lamb flying around the bases. That was awfully close.
Boy, Tony Perez-Chica was signaling into the Diamondbacks dugout right away. He felt that ball hit on the stripe down the left field line. Coming right at you, Paul Goldschmidt with that hooking line drive. Oh, that's foul.
Good call, Brian O'Nora. Boy, that was smoked, too.
It really was. Tony Perez-Chica is a little like me. He sees plays with biased eyes.
Wow, what are you talking about? What? Let's get one more of those. Oh, dropped a curveball in there and buckled Goldie his 5th strikeout.
Yeah, that's a good pitch because Gray doesn't normally throw that pitch for strikes. That's a pitch he'll normally bend off the outside corner or try to bounce it in the dirt in front of home plate. That time started it right at Goldie and broke it over the inner third of the plate for a called strike.
J.D. Martinez has the game's big hit. 3-run home run in the first inning. His 30th of the year. 449 feet to dead center. So JD now counting tonight 39 games as a Diamondback. He's got 14 homers and 33 runs driven in. You know, one thing I liked about that Goldie foul ball was Jake Lamb at first. He was flying around third, looking at his coaches the whole way, never let up, and he was almost at home plate by the time they finally figured out fair or foul. He was flying around the bases.
And that's all a third base coach can ask for from the players. Just run as hard as you can. I'll watch the play behind you. I'll let you know whether you can score or not. Just put your head down and run as hard as you can.
That's exactly what Jake did there. Real hustle. Hard fastball. JD swing and a miss. It's 1-2. 100th pitch of the ball game coming up from John Gray. 99 pitches, 61 strikes. He has walked 3, struck out 5. Went back to that curveball. He struck out Goldie and Martinez with that same pitch. It's 3-1 Diamondbacks. 3-1, fifth inning here at Coors Field. Fans, the Diamondbacks have opened up a very special fight for postseason sale during this weekend only. It ends tomorrow evening. You can buy a ticket for any of the 4 games against the Rockies, that big series which starts at Chase Field a week from Monday. You can get $2 outfield reserve seats, $5 bleacher seats, and a lower level baseline reserve ticket for only $10. It's a special sale taking place only this weekend for that series against the Rockies coming up in about a week. It starts a week from Monday at Chase Field. It's the fight for postseason, and so take advantage if you can. Again, it ends tomorrow evening. Log on to dbacks.com, promo code FIGHT, the fight for postseason. A special weekend sale, great ticket prices for that big Rockies series coming up a week from Monday at Chase. Gerardo Parra leads off the Colorado fifth.
Well, that graphic we had there, Nolan Arenado on the left and David Peralta on the right, looked like they were yelling at each other. But if you notice, they're both wearing batting helmets, so that couldn't really happen during the course of a major league ball game where both guys have their helmets on at the same time.
Good thing. Parra flying out his first time up. Boy, Patrick Corbin has been very consistent. His pitch count in each inning so far, 18, 16, 14, 18. He has given up only 1 base hit through the first 4 innings. That was LeMahieu's triple. But that is a tremendous deal. I mean, you can get a lower level baseline reserve seat for the biggest series of the year for $10. But you got to act before tomorrow evening. As soon as this series ends, the special sale ends. dbacks.com/fight. Trevor Story on deck. Boy, Parra just drops the bat out there and lets the ball hit it and rolls it into left center field, a leadoff single.
Full defensive mode up there, that at bat. It's kind of an Uchi out there into left center field for a base hit. They all count.
And he's still got that hip wiggle that he used to have with the Diamondbacks before he swings. He's had a great year, hitting almost .340 for the Rockies this season. So the leadoff man aboard for Colorado for the 2nd consecutive inning. Here's Trevor Story.
I know there's a segment of Diamondbacks fans out there watching right now wondering what will Gerardo Parra do to get himself picked off base.
It does happen from time to time, at least it used to.
What are those called? Toot blands. Thrown out on the bases like a nincompoop.
Oh, he was among the league leaders.
Yes, he was every year.
Trevor Story, always got to be careful with this guy. He's done a lot of his damage this year against lefties. .310 against left-handers. That's more than a 100-point boost from his batting average against right-hand pitchers.
It's worth a try.
You never know. Tony Diaz coaching in first for the Rockies. D-backs have out-hit Colorado 5-2. They lead at 3-1. Trevor Story, the league's leader in strikeouts, punches out. Just the third strikeout for Patrick Corbin, one down.
Good slider down in the zone right there. Good Story to chase a pitch. That's that back foot slider. Didn't quite get to the back foot, but it was down off the inside corner and got the desired result.
The catcher, Lucroy, grounded to short his first time up. Pitcher's spot is up next, and Pat Valaika is in the on-deck circle for Bud Black. Chris Russin warming up in the Rocky bullpen. Valaika has been a very good pinch hitter this year. Here's Russin, the lefty. Maybe one of the few relievers who did not appear in the ball game last night for either side. Bullpen got so gassed for the Diamondbacks last night they had to bring Jimmy Sherfy back up from Reno. So the Aces will be without him. Their playoff run is about to start. He's needed up here. There's that slower curveball from Patrick Corbin that he's featured lately. Uses the same grip as his slider, just takes some of the velocity off. And it's much more of a curveball than a slider. He's usually in the 70s in terms of velocity. That slider will be low to mid 80s. JD Martinez. Parra halfway to second. He gets back to the bag at first, 2 outs.
He's trying.
He sure is. So Valaika goes back into the dugout. And we'll get a different hitter. Tom Murphy. The backup catcher, or one of them anyway, will be the hitter, and that'll end the night for John Gray.
Well, Gray did something no other starting pitcher had been able to do in the last 5 days against the Diamondbacks, and that's get into the 5th inning. D-backs have been chasing the starters in 4 innings or fewer over their last 4 starts.
Mike Butcher to the mound. John Gray goes 5, gives up 3 runs, all earned on 5 hits. He had 6 strikeouts. Murphy was going to be the Rockies' primary backup catcher this year, but his season has been a near total washout. He's only played 8 games with Colorado, and he's 1 for 20 at the plate. He's had all kinds of injury issues. Parra, the runner at first, and 2 outs. Murphy missed nearly 70 games to start the year. He suffered a fractured right forearm in spring training. He got hit with a bat while he was attempting to make a throw down to second base. Didn't get back from the broken forearm until this summer. And when he came back, he didn't hit. He was back down in the minors.
You know, partner, it kind of slipped my attention, but I saw a little blurb in the local papers today. Ryan Howard is in the Rockies organization, and there was some talk that maybe he would be a call up at some point between now and the end of the season.
I saw a video of him. It might have even been a walk-off home run for Albuquerque the other day.
Yeah, didn't have a great year down there in AAA. Only 41 plate appearances, hit .231. He did have 3 homers and 4 doubles, but you know, that's an instant offense kind of a guy to have available off the bench.
Just a left-hand pitch hitter, if nothing else. 1-2 on Tom Murphy. That one skips behind Chris Herman. Parra moves up to second. A changeup from Corbin in the dirt.
That's another one of those ones way over there in the right-handed batter's box. That'll be a wild pitch on Patrick Corbin. Chris Herman tried to do everything he could to get in front of that ball, but just couldn't get out there quite quickly enough.
Blackman hoping to get his chance. 2 outs, 2 balls, 2 strikes on Tom Murphy. Into the slider, and it's full 3-2. This is the guy you want to get. You don't want to give Blackman a chance with runners on base. Another fastball, and it's still 3-2.
Yeah, for me personally, I think fastballs are the way to go against Murphy, especially up in the zone. You get a guy that's had very few at-bats this season. Spent a lot of time on the disabled list. Looks like he's having trouble catching up to that Patrick Corbin fastball in the low 90s. If you could just elevate one up there above the belt somewhere, might get him to chase or hit it in the air somewhere.
8th pitch of the at-bat right here to Tom Murphy. Struck him out. Patrick Corbin strands that leadoff single. He's through 5 with a 3-1 lead. Fifth consecutive win. He holds a 3-1 lead over the Rockies as we start the 6th inning here at Coors Field. Fans, don't miss this show tomorrow. You can ride along with David Peralta as Jody drives him to work. It's the premiere of D-Backs Driven In. It's presented by Sanderson Ford, and it's coming up Sunday right after our Diamondbacks Rockies game on Fox Sports Arizona. And we mentioned yesterday, Jody not paying much attention to the road David frankly looks a little afraid there. Look, Jody's not even looking. He looks nervous, doesn't he? 10-2, Jody, 10-2. Look, she's not watching the road. Look. Jody.
Life is flying by outside the windows there.
I do hope that they break into song at some point as a part of the whole carpool karaoke thing. New pitcher for the Rockies, the left-hander Chris Russin, who's had a good year, 48 games, a 2.39 ERA.
Yeah, Chris Russin, one of the pitchers in Major League Baseball that's adopted a variety of different deliveries. He will occasionally quick pitch, just kind of jump into his delivery. Takes a full wind up that time. Kind of starts in the stretch position, but at times will wind up. At other times will come to a set position, and occasionally will just jump at the hitter and quick pitch.
AJ, who doubled his last time up, leads off the 6th. Well, this could be trouble. Stay fair, ball. Hang on.
Was it here or somewhere else? We talked about the foul lines being so close to the infield grass. The foul lines on the first and third base side are right close to the infield grass. A lot of room between the foul line and foul territory grass. Right there you can see what I'm talking about. And when that ball trickles off the infield grass onto the dirt, it usually has enough momentum to carry it into foul territory.
Now, didn't some teams back in the day, maybe they still do, kind of slope that part of the field?
They used to manicure it just a little bit. If you had some guys at the top of your order that liked to bunt for a base hit, or you were a team that liked to use the sacrifice bunt as a weapon, then yeah, you tilt the baselines in just a little bit to keep those balls fair.
Hard to third. That's where base hits go to die. Reynolds backs up to get that throw. Nolan Arenado, 4 years in the majors and 4 gold gloves. Son, that ain't no way to make a living in the big leagues.
Ain't no way at all.
Daniel Descalso, 0 for 2. I know when the Tigers were in here earlier this week, you got a call from Rod Allen asking you about what you'd seen from Arenado at third, because he had heard that he was one of the best ever.
Yeah, he asked me, is he on the top of your list of the best defensive third baseman you've ever seen? And I really had to think about it for a while, because I played against Mike Schmidt, who for a long time for me was a slam dunk best defensive third baseman. Adrian Beltre is a guy that probably doesn't get the credit he deserves, but he's an outstanding defender at third base. Of course, Matt Williams, in my days as a teammate and then managing Matty with the Diamondbacks, he was as good as there was in the game defensively down there at third base. But Arenado was right there at the top of a very short list.
Oh, the bat just shatters in half. Story has no play deep in the hole, and Descalso gets an infield single. That one truly did die a hero, and there's kindling all over the infield. Look at this. Boom.
Pieces of wood flying over his shoulder back there behind home plate. Has that tent peg of a handle left in his hand, but the ball finds that hole on the left side. Story, no play to make right there.
Descalso, a 1-out single. Here's Chris Herman, who walked and stole the bases last time up. Chris does have a couple of home runs this year against left-hand pitchers. The start behind the plate tonight, catching Patrick Corbin, who's on deck. D-backs 4.5 games ahead of Colorado for that first wild card spot. The Rockies lead over the Brewers for the second wild card. It was down to a 1.5 games and still is. Milwaukee hosting Washington right now, and the Nationals have a 3-2 lead at Miller Park late in that ball game. Cardinals were 4 off the pace. St. Louis lost at San Francisco 2-1. There's the Brewers score. And the Marlins were 6 back. Miami beating up on the Phillies right now, 10-4. There's the second consecutive walk to Chris Herman. 2 on, 1 out for Corbin. Patrick has walked and struck out.
Boy, signs flying everywhere. Nolan Arenado giving the signs to the Rockies infielders what bunt defense play they want to run. Jonathan Lucroy comes out from behind home plate to alert the infielders where he's going to throw the ball in the event of a double steal attempt. A lot to process there in a short amount of time as Patrick Corbin gets in there.
Reynolds has to check in with Russin over at first base. Now Reynolds will kitty corner several steps in on the grass at first. Same for Arenado at third. Here comes Arenado. Patrick bunts it. Arenado kicks it into foul ground.
Oh.
And Corbin's aboard. The bases are loaded. A bank shot off the Gold Glove third baseman.
Wow, save that video. I believe that's only the 6th error that Arenado's made all season long. Got a little ahead of himself. He was going to spin and throw to third base and just didn't have a handle on the baseball. And to his credit, Patrick Corbin running hard down the first base line loads him up for the top of the order.
Well, you'd spend a half inning talking about Nolan Arenado, and there's an E5. Sacrifice E5. Bases full, 1 out for Peralta. 1 for 3, a single in the first. That's where base hits go to die. Sacrifice bunts, not so much. David, his first time up tonight, absolutely belted a ball against John Gray, hard off the wall over the head of Parra in right field. He hit it so hard it was only a long single. He has since grounded out, struck out.
Now we know about the arm of Gerardo Parra in right field. He's got a cannon. Charlie Blackmon in center, average at best with his throwing arm. He usually charges the ball extremely hard, and Ian Desmond is probably the guy you would try to take advantage of. Probably the weakest throwing arm in the Rockies outfield.
Well, we know that David likes to go to left and left center a lot, so that could work out. Here's the 1-1. Antonio Senzatella, who was supposed to start tomorrow's game, is warming up in the bullpen. He was replaced as the starter the other day. They will instead start the good right-hander, Germán Marquez, who's won 10 games. Bud Black wanted his most consistent pitcher as of late to work in what is a huge series for the Rockies. So Marquez gets the start tomorrow against Zach Godley. Oh, Russin reaches out and snags it. They get the force on Descalso at home. For a moment it looked like Lucroy lost sight of either the ball or the plate, but they get the out at home. Some quick glove work there by Chris Russin on the mound.
Yeah, that's probably a tailor-made double play if he goes up the middle of the field, but elected to come home and cut off that run. Nearly threw it by Jonathan Lucroy back there. Nice adjustment to make the play and get the out at home.
So base is still full. 2 outs now for Ketel Marte, who has singled twice tonight. He's 2 for 3. That was a pretty snappy catch there by Chris Russin. That Brewers game is now a final. Milwaukee has lost tonight. Washington beat them 3-2 at Miller Park in Milwaukee. Brewers began the day only a game and a half off a wild card spot. Ball 1. Ketel, a switch hitter. He's about 260 from the left side. He's a 250 right-hand batter. And he has homered twice from each side of the plate this year. Herman at third, Corbin at second, Peralta the runner at first. That one rolls away from Lucroy. Herman got a bad read, a late break, but he ends up scoring easily. And it's 4-1 Diamondbacks. The Herminator hesitated there for a moment, wasn't quite sure.
Occasionally, when you're the runner at third base and that ball gets in line with the umpire and the catcher and the batter, you don't see how far away from home plate it rolls. But fortunately, it got far enough away that Herman, even with the late jump, able to score without a play at the plate.
And now a single can bring home 2 more. Marte had 2 balls and no strikes. A wild pitch. Charge to Chris Russin. Three and 0. Lamb on deck. That one almost spun Marte around, but it's a 3-0 strike for Paul Emmel. Two on, 2 out, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Steve Axe now with a 4-1 lead. Patrick Corbin at third, David Peralta at second. The run is home. Don't forget, fans, series finale tomorrow here on Fox Sports Arizona. Diamondback Live pregame show on at 11:30 in the morning. 12:10 first pitch back home. Zach Godley and Germán Marquez. Full count, 3-2. Here it is. This is tapped to third. Arenado charges. Diamondbacks get one. They lead it 4-1. Chris Herman home with a 4th run for the D-backs. They lead the Rockies 4-1. Series finale here tomorrow. What's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. Zach Godley on the mound against right-hander German Marquez, who has moved into the rotation, or I should say moved up, to start this game tomorrow. He's had a very good year, 10-5 for Colorado. Series finale tomorrow, and then it's off to Dodger Stadium. Ugh.
I ran into Zach Godley's parents last night on my walk back to the hotel. They were out on the streets, and it's not hard to spot the Sedona red here in Denver with all the purple. And
were they like running like he does?
No. They were very calm, very under control. They recognized me and came up and introduced themselves, said hello. They're in Denver for the series this weekend, watching Zach pitch tomorrow.
Nice. Charlie Blackmon leads off the Colorado 6th. So far, through 5 innings, Patrick Corbin has given up just 1 run on 2 hits. He has walked 2, struck out 4. Blackmon tonight has walked and grounded out. Popped him up. Here comes Goldie. Foul ground in front of the Rockies dugout. That's a big out, number 1, to start off the 6th inning. Here is DJ LeMahieu. LeMahieu tried to bunt his first time up tonight. And then without the LeMahieu shift on, he banged one high off the wall in right center field for a triple.
Yeah, I don't think the shift would have made any difference on that triple. He hit it so high off the wall out there in right center field. Unless you had a 9-foot tall right fielder, nobody's going to make that play.
Yeah, you may have something there.
Hey.
That's not a bad idea. We should start developing tall outfielders.
Tall outfielders.
Rob some home runs.
Long arms.
90 pitches for Patrick Corbin, 52 strikes. Patrick has pitched into the 7th inning in each of his last 4 starts, all wins. J.J. Hoover will start to get warmed up in the bullpen. Patrick has completed at least 7 full innings in his last 3 times he's been out there. Here's a strike, 2-1. Comes in with that fastball. 2-2. Arenado on deck. So far, Patrick Corbin, over his last 4 starts and counting tonight, has pitched 35 1/3 innings and given up 2 runs. 2. Pretty amazing. Himmel doesn't bite, came in again with that fastball. Full count, 3-2. Missed upstairs, a 1-out walk. 3rd walk issued by Patrick tonight. Here comes Arenado. Torey Lovello has the right-hander J.J. Hoover ready in the bullpen. J.J. came on last night, got a big out in the ball game to end the 6th inning. He retired LeMahieu on a fly ball. And this will end Patrick Corbin's night right here. J.J. Hoover on his way in, back after this. outstanding effort from Patrick Corbin, looking for his 5th win in 5 starts. Our Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing cool plays of the game. 5 innings at Coors Field. He gave up only 1 run on 2 hits.
A lot of soft contact on the ground, which is always a good thing here at Coors Field. It's another tremendous performance, maybe not as dominating as we've seen Patrick recently, but very efficient nonetheless.
He is responsible for DJ LeMahieu at first base here in the 6th inning. 1 out, and on to face Nolan Arenado is the right-hander J.J. Hoover. Hoover, one of the pitchers brought up with expanded September rosters. J.J. came on to close out the 6th inning last night and retired DJ LeMahieu on just 3 pitches to end the threat. Arenado has struck out and walked today. First pitch curveball from Hoover, 0-1. Drives it to right. Martinez. Oh, it's off the glove. LeMahieu had stopped. It rolls all the way to the wall. They'll stop him at 3rd. And Arenado's at 2nd base. It was hard hit to right center. J.D. charged. It caromed off the leather and rolled all the way to the wall.
I'm not sure if that was an issue with the lights. Perhaps that ball was knuckling when it got out there to right field. Whatever reason, J.D. Martinez just clanks it off the leather, goes all the way to the wall. Fortunately, A.J. Pollock was working his way over there to right field from his center field position. We saw Arenado. He thought that ball was caught. He was ready to fire his helmet in disgust. Ends up at 2nd base instead.
And LeMahieu had stopped near 2nd, so they had to stop him at 3rd. Reynolds the hitter now. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Tying run is at the plate. And Reynolds with 28 homers, always a threat. 0 for 2 so far tonight. T.J. McFarland starts to get loose in the D-backs bullpen. The left-hander, 2-0. David Hernandez will start warming up as well. Ian Desmond is on deck. Desmond 0 for 2. In the air. Goldie will give it a look, but it's drifting out of play.
Green light there from Bud Black. I think everybody in this Rockies lineup, perhaps with the exception of DJ LeMahieu, have the green light 3-0. Why not? Guys that can hit the ball in the air in this ballpark, that might be your best chance.
On the ground right to Descalso at 2nd. This will get a run home, and it's 4-2. Arenado into 3rd. Two outs for Ian Desmond. Desmond is grounded out, popped out. newly acquired Pat Neshek, one of the big pickups for the Rockies. Submarining right-hander starts to get loose. He's tough. Oh, and 2. Nice slider there from J.J. Hoover. That's a pitch that Torrey really likes from J.J. That good hard slider, darting down and away from the right-hand batter.
And gives him that weapon against right-handed hitters in situations just like this. That hard slider down low and away, complemented by that fastball. He likes to match up on righties with Hoover.
Nice job there. Chris Herman keeps Arenado at third.
Boy, and ahead in the count 0-2. You don't want this ball in the strike zone. This is right where Chris Herman wanted it, off that plate, low and away. Hope to get Desmond to chase a bad pitch, but don't want to make a mistake over the heart of the plate when you're ahead in the count 0-2. You'll see Chris Herman just uses flashes with J.J. Hoover on the mound. One flash is a fastball. If you see 3, that's the slider.
Shook off the slider.
Wants the fastball.
Up and away. 2-2. Called strike 3. Got him with a fastball. 4-2. We head to the 7th. Big story. National League wild card race. Watch this.
Don't throw it.
Oh, watch this. Clears the art sculpture thing on the fly on the concourse back there. The Marlins 6 off the wild card pace and a close one with the Phillies. Trey Turner for the Nationals at Miller Park in Milwaukee breaks a 2-2 tie in the 8th inning. And the Brewers, who are only a game and a half behind the Rockies for a wild card spot, lose at home to Washington 3-2. And here's where things stand right now. Diamondbacks 4.5 clear of Colorado. Milwaukee loses a half game. St. Louis 4.5 back. The Cardinals lost at San Francisco 2-1. And the Marlins in a fight right now with Philadelphia 10-9 at Marlins Park. They're in the 8th inning. We're in the 7th here at Coors Field. Jake Lamb, who was 0 for 2 with a walk, leads it off. Chris Russin still out there, his 2nd inning of work. Bullpen has been busy for the Rockies, still is. This might be his last hitter. You've got 3 real good righties coming up. And Lamb strikes out. Here comes Bud Black, sure enough.
Yeah, Chris Russin's slider working its way off the outside corner of the plate. Just couldn't check.
Neshek has been warming up out there. You've got Goldie, Martinez, and Pollock coming up. We'll take a break from Denver. We're in the 7th inning at Coors Field. Fans, Los D-backs Hispanic Heritage Day is coming up next Saturday, September 9th. It's brought to you by Bud Light. And if you show up early for the APS Street Festival from 2 to 5, you can enjoy food, live music, entertainment, a whole lot more. And the first 20,000 fans at the ballpark get the Sugar Skull bobblehead. That's courtesy of Pepsi. For your tickets, visit dbacks.com. Well, here's the submarining right-hander Pat Neshek. He was an all-star for the Phillies this year. And then about 2 weeks after the All-Star game, they traded him here to Colorado. 59 appearances this season between the two teams. And 51 of those appearances have been scoreless. He's pretty good.
Well, to say this is a unique delivery might be the understatement of the year. You just don't see many guys with a delivery like Pat Neshek any level of baseball. Very quick, abbreviated windup, very odd looking windup. That sidearm delivery, everything's very short and quick. I mean, nobody else does this.
Not sure anyone else can. But he has been very effective. Except in this at bat, he's behind 3-0. Goldie is 0 for 3 tonight. He has scored a run. JD Martinez, a big 3-run home run in the first inning off John Gray, is next. JD's 30th of the year. There is a 3-0 strike. One stretch earlier this year in Philadelphia, Neshek had an 18-inning, 19-game scoreless stretch that lasted over 6 weeks. Struck that slider through the front door, and it's full 3-2. Goldie still hitless in this series. He's 4 shy of 1,000 for his career. Well, Goldie was ahead 3-0 and struck out. You won't see that very often.
That was the reverse Goldie that time.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, he piped that 3-0 fastball in there for a called strike, and then back-to-back sliders. One to the front door for a called strike, and that one leading Goldie right out of the zone away.
It's just got to be a miserable at bat for a right-hand hitter.
We were talking about it last night, the rhythm between a pitcher and a hitter, and when a pitcher gets to a certain point in his delivery, you should be in your load position with your front foot almost on the ground, ready to pull the trigger and swing if it's a strike. But Neshek messes that timing all up. I mean, this is not a traditional wind-up. There's no big leg kick. He just kind of rocks back and then jumps toward the hitter and delivers the pitch.
And it could be a low 90s fastball. It could be a biting low 80s slider like that last pitch.
And given his role everywhere he's been, you might only see Pat Neshek once or twice a season. So it's not like you've got a lot of experience to lean back on.
And I'm not sure video would help a whole lot either in this case. But JD had 2 balls and 1 strike. A lot of sliders here, 2-2. Look back to Paul Emmel. Borderline pitch. Well, Pat Neshek doing his thing. We stretch in Colorado. It's 4-2 Diamondbacks. Big day, a very emotional day at Minute Maid Park in downtown Houston. We were just there a couple of weeks ago as they play baseball again after all the tragedy and the flooding from Hurricane Harvey. A real moment for all Houston citizens. The mayor was on hand to throw out the first pitch as they start to hopefully rebuild and think about baseball once again. And fans, you can help everyone in Houston after Hurricane Harvey. Visit redcross.org. or text the word Harvey to 90999, a $10 donation, and you can help the Red Cross prepare for, respond to, and help people recover from the disaster that is Hurricane Harvey. It's the bottom of the 7th here in Denver, Colorado. David Hernandez, who had a rough time of things in last night's ball game, is out to start the bottom of the 7th. Gerardo Parra, his former Diamondbacks teammate, will lead it off. David came on to start the 6th last night. Wound up giving up 2 runs on 2 hits. A single by Desmond, RBI double by Cargo. Story had a sac fly. He wound up throwing only 9 pitches. So here he is. This is a tapper to first. Nice, quick, easy out for Goldie. Good start. Story is 0 for 2. Colorado still with only 2 hits in the ball game. Patrick Corbin was terrific once again. They got a run in the 6th inning without the benefit of a base hit. There was a walk, an error by JD Martinez, and an RBI groundout. Jake McGee, the left-hander, starts to warm up. Some lefties due up for the D-backs in the 8th. He gets Story to pop up. Jammed in that time. Lamb's under it. 2 quick outs for David Hernandez. And here's the catcher, Lucroy. Lucroy 0 for 7 in the series so far. Andrew Chafin starts to get loose in the D-backs bullpen. Pitcher spot is up next for Colorado. Mike Tauchman in the on-deck circle.
Yeah, this is something that's followed Jonathan Lucroy everywhere he's played. Watch him tugging at that right shoulder. Pulls that sleeve up higher and higher as he's getting ready for the pitch. And I notice when he catches, he does exactly the opposite. He pulls his sleeves down.
This one is rolled through and into center, a 2-out single.
Can't seem to get comfortable with those sleeves. Just a little seeing eye ground ball this time, got right in on his hands, but you can see where Marte is positioned as the play begins. Just can't cover that much ground that quickly.
Tauchman is announced as the pinch hitter for Neshek. He walked as a pinch hitter last night. Mike Butcher out to the mound. Tauchman only 2 for 11 to begin his major league career. He's a 26-year-old rookie. D-backs hanging on to a 4-2 lead. Trying to win their 9th straight game. Andrew Chafin warming up at the Diamondback bullpen. A win tonight would be number 78 on the year and get the D-backs to 20 over 500. But there's some work to do here. Tauchman with 2 outs and 1 on. Long run, Ketel Marte won't get there, and it drops into no man's land. A bloop base hit for Tauchman, just his 3rd hit in the big leagues.
Just a little floater. In a bad spot for Diamondbacks, just over the head of Ketel Marte, way in front of David Peralta that time. Couldn't have thrown it out there any better.
Torey Lovullo has his left-hander Chafin ready for Charlie Blackmon. We'll take a break from Coors. Andrew Chafin on to get Charlie Blackmon with 2 on and 2 outs and a 2-run lead. Chafin worked in the ball game last night. He threw 17 pitches, gave up an RBI ground out to Carlos Gonzalez, and then a 2-run double by Trevor Story. And he's got his work cut out for him right here to face Blackmon. Got some right-handers coming up next: LeMahieu, Arenado, Reynolds, Desmond. And so Archie Bradley has started warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. Lucroy's at second, Tauchman at first, 2 outs. And here comes Blackmon.
Blackmon 3 for 12 lifetime against Andrew Chafin. It's a percentage move right here. Thought we might see Andrew Chafin for Tauchman, but if you do that, chances are you'll see Pat Valaika pinch hit for Tauchman, and Torrey liked the matchup of the right-hander Hernandez on Tauchman better than the matchup of Andrew Chafin on Pat Valaika.
Blackmon 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. He is hitting .340 versus left-hand pitchers this year. 2 on and 2 out. Look out! That almost caught some Diamondback players, a rocket into the seats behind the D-backs dugout. And it looks like it hit a fan in the very first row back there. Boy, that sailed just over the heads of all the D-backs players and coaches who were on the top step of the dugout, and it struck a fan in the first row right behind. He or she is being attended to right now. Looks like it hit a young lady down there. And it appears, thankfully, that everybody's okay. So it's 0-1 on Blackmon. Blackmon has hit safely in 9 straight games, 14 of his last 15. A 400 hitter during that stretch. 0 for 2 so far tonight. Chafin faced Blackmon in the 8th inning last night. It was a single up the middle to lead it off. Here's the 2-1. Lucroy's at second. Tauchman the tying run at first. 2 and 2, 2 outs. LeMahieu on deck. Bradley warming up in the bullpen. Struck him out. Andrew Chafin. The sheriff is in town. He strands 2. It's still 4-2 D-backs. A big out there by the Sheriff, Andrew Chafin. He strands two and keeps it a 2-run D-backs lead. Our Gila River game summary. J.D. Martinez launched a home run to dead center 449 feet in the first inning off John Gray, and that has been the biggest hit of the ball game. Patrick Corbin outstanding again, in line for his 5th consecutive win. He gave up only 2 runs on 2 hits in 5 1/3. And now the left-hander Jake McGee is on for the Rockies to start the top of the 8th.
He'll have to work his way through A.J. Pollock leading off here in the top half of the 8th inning, and then he's got back-to-back lefties in Daniel Descalso, Chris Herman, and then a pinch hitter for the pitcher spot, you would assume.
D-backs trying to hang on for their 9th straight win. It would stretch their lead over the Rockies for that first National League wild card spot to 5.5 games. A.J. doubled in the 4th. He's 1 for 3. So he's now hit safely in 5 straight. We talked about how the Rockies and the Rockies fans here feel like they've been really snake bit. They just have not been able to get the big hit in the big spot, and that was another example as Chafin came on and struck out Blackman. 2 on and 2 out. Here's a bouncer up the middle. Story makes a nice play.
Yeah, throwing on the move has never been an issue for Trevor Story, much like the man he replaced at shortstop, Troy Tulowitzki. He rarely sets his feet and makes a throw to first. Always on the move.
I think some guys are more comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, there are certain plays where that is absolutely the right thing to do. But Story and Troy Tulowitzki before him feel much more comfortable throwing on the move all the time.
Descalso had a broken bat infield single his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Two-run ball game. You could have used, if you wanted to, Brandon Drury as a pinch hitter here and then had him stay in the game at second, but I'm just guessing that Torrey wants Descalso's glove out there in a tight ball game late.
And if you did choose to go to Drury, this would have been a great time. The Rockies have nobody warming up in the bullpen right now, so guaranteed that Drury would have had the at bat against the left-handed pitcher. But I think you're absolutely right about the defensive side of it. In a close ball game, especially in this ballpark, you want your best defense on the field at the end of the ball game.
And Brandon is standing right behind Torrey in the dugout with a batting helmet on. The pitcher spot is due up in a couple of hitters here, so maybe they're saving him for that. Here's a strike, and it's 1-2. I saw Brandon today walking over here. I said, Drew, what do you got? He said, pinch hit home run. I said, I believe you.
That's a great attitude to have. If you're not in the starting lineup, I'll find a way to help the team win tonight.
That is always his mentality. It's remarkably consistent. The Herminator on deck. He's walked twice and scored a run. He's also got a stolen base tonight. And the pitcher spot after that, maybe Drury. Descalso putting up a fight. Boy, David Hernandez looked terrific in his outing. He had a little roller single go up the middle, then another bloop one drop in for a hit. He should have been out of his inning clean. But Chafin came on and got an enormous strikeout of Charlie Blackman. One of the biggest at bats of the ball game so far. Still 2-2. Fastball away, missed. It's full. Popped him up. Reynolds coming in from first. And he's got it in foul ground, 2 outs. There is Brandon Drury set to hit for the pitcher. But it looks like they're going to bring Herman back, and Chris Iannetta will come up and hit for the catcher, Herman. With a left-hander out there, they'll go to the right-hand hitting Iannetta.
I think they're going to go with Drury, and then if you get to the pitcher spot, you drop Iannetta in right there, and then it's an easy switch to put Iannetta in the game behind the plate and put the pitcher in the 8th spot.
So it's Drury hitting for Herman, and Iannetta set to hit for the pitcher. So here is Brandon, 1 for 5 in his start at second base last night. .269, 10 homers. 10 of his last 12 hits, Brandon Drury, have been extra base hits. He's really hit the ball pretty hard the last couple of weeks. Fastball, borderline pitch, but it's in there for a strike, and it's 0-2. Drury knocks it into right. Well, it's not a home run, but it'll do. A 2-out pinch hit single for Brandon Drury. And Iannetta will get a chance.
Even if it doesn't produce a run here in this 8th inning, it sets up well, because now you've got Iannetta hitting for the pitcher spot. He'll stay in and catch. Brandon Drury will more than likely come out of the ball game, and the pitcher goes right into that 8th spot. Had Brandon Drury made an out right there, it creates a little bit of a sticky wicket for Torey Lovullo, where you put guys in the lineup and who you bring in from the bullpen, what pinch hitters you still have available, but this works out extremely well.
Chris, .239, 13 homers. He singled and walked in his start behind the plate last night. And he steps up there right now, riding an 8-game hitting streak. Chris hitting .370 during his 8-game hit streak. Foul back, and it's 1-1. Chris Iannetta was a 4th-round pick by the Rockies out of North Carolina. He's a Tar Heel. Spent his first 6 seasons in the big leagues with Colorado. He was on that '07 National League Championship team. Hard, but right at the shortstop Story. And we'll head to the home half of the 8th. Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 4-2. Bring in the beard.
half of the 8th inning is 4-2 still because of Andrew Chapin and his tremendous job against one of the best hitters in the game, Charlie Blackmon. Started him with a fastball away. He fouled that out of play, and then it was just a steady diet of pitches on that outer third of the plate. Missed with a couple of fastballs. Slider right there was pulled foul down the first baseline, and then another nasty slider right in the middle of the plate with a lot of downward movement. Gets a real good hitter to swing and miss.
That was maybe the biggest at bat of the ball game so far, and now to start the bottom of the 8th inning, it's the Ash line call to the bullpen. They brought in the Beard. Here is Archie Bradley. Archie got 3 outs on 7 pitches last night in the 8th inning. That included a walk to Nolan Arenado. Chris Iannetta behind the plate, bats 9th, pitcher spot is 8th. But Archie faces the sharp end of the Rockies order here. LeMahieu, Arenado, and Reynolds, with Desmond and Parra behind them. LeMahieu has scored both Colorado runs tonight, a triple and a walk.
And they do have the LeMahieu shift on. The only difference is David Peralta is positioned in right center field and A.J. Pollock in his customary center field position.
Talked to Torrey about that today. He said, you know, when they looked at it now after having seen it last night, it made more sense to have A.J., the center fielder, stand in center field, and Peralta, who's more of a natural right fielder, stand out in right center.
And A.J. with more speed than David Peralta can cover a little more ground on that left side of the field should LeMahieu turn one around and pull it to left center or left field.
The LeMahieu shift is on. And they said they thought they could see him trying to sort of just yank some down that line, just hook something, because even LeMahieu admitted a ground ball down the left field line is a home run for him with the Dave McKay, the inventor of this LeMahieu shift. Trying to make him pull the ball and take him out of his game. That's what they want to do here. Take away what LeMahieu does best, which is go to right and right center field.
It's a little bit like when a big guy like Matt Adams or any one of the big slugging left-handers sees a pull shift and tries to bunt against it. Well, go ahead. I'd rather have you try to bunt for a base hit than hit one in the seats.
Holy cow, he hits it to that side. Jake Lamb. Nicely done. So LeMahieu hits away from the LeMahieu shift. And it's a little tapper to third.
Boy, nice play by Jake Lamb that time. Got to that ball quickly. You can say he's playing deep down there with 2 strikes on LeMahieu. A backhand pick and throw all in one motion just in time to get the out.
Archie Bradley walked Nolan Arenado in the 8th inning last night. Holland, the closer, and Dunn, the lefty, warming up in the Colorado bullpen. So it's Bradley and Arenado one more time, 8th inning tonight. Arenado has struck out, walked, and reached on an error by the right fielder J.D. Martinez. Ketel Marte right to him, and again, that's just the way things have been going for Colorado lately, and especially Nolan Arenado, who said before the game yesterday he just feels like when he does hit the ball well lately, it's right at someone.
That's baseball. I mean, it doesn't make it any less frustrating if you're Nolan Arenado, but that's the nature of the game. Somewhere along the line he'll break his bat and hit a floater that'll drop in to make up for that line drive to short. At least that's what they say.
But that's why they feel like they've just been snake bit lately. Nothing has seemed to work offensively for a big offensive powerhouse ball club. 1-1 on Reynolds. Archie got Reynolds to fly out to right field in the 8th inning last night. 2-1. D-backs in the 9th. They'll have the top of the order due up. Peralta, Marte, and Lamb. Goldie and Martinez behind them. Missed with a fastball, and suddenly it's 3-1. Desmond is on deck. A 2-out walk. Tying run will come to the plate. in the 8th. Desmond tonight 0 for 3. He's got 1 hit in the series. That was a single last night against Silvino. Oh, no, not. Let's see. Where's Desmond? Yeah, against David Hernandez.
Yeah, Desmond 0 for 3 lifetime against Archie Bradley with 3 punch-outs.
Tying run at the plate for Colorado. 2 outs in the game. The remarkable thing about Ian Desmond, and granted he's been on the DL 3 different times this year, but here's a guy who was an all-star hitter in Texas last season. Comes to Coors Field in Colorado, and in this ballpark so far this year he has only 5 extra base hits.
Wow.
The guy that hit last year 22 homers, knocked in nearly 90 runs. One and 2. Ian Desmond's last home run, middle of June, right here at Coors Field against the Giants. He's only homered 5 times all year.
Well, not messing around, just going fastballs against Desmond.
A tapper to second. Descalso collects it. Goldie gets the tag on Desmond running up the line. Bradley gets the 3 outs. We hit the 9th. 4-2 D-backs. We hit the 9th at Coors Field. 4-2 Diamondbacks over the Rockies. Fans, D-backs 2018 season tickets are on sale right now. And that's the best way to guarantee your postseason seats by becoming a D-back season ticket holder. Join the family. You can choose from full season tickets. You could do a half season. Pick particular series that you may like. You can do a weekend season ticket plan. They have all kinds of options for you. They'll work with you and help design your own plan. You can even come down to the ballpark and pick your seats. They'll let you walk all over the park and check out the view. More information online, dbacks.com/season tickets. Here's the lefty Mike Dunn to work the top of the 9th inning. We saw Dunn in the game last night. He had a rough time of it. Came on in the 7th, gave up an RBI single by Jake Lamb, then that 3-run pinch hit homer by Descalso. Peralta, who singled to lead off the ball game, leads off the 9th. There's his strike. Fernando Rodney starts to warm up in the Diamondback bullpen. Rodney 5 saves away from 300 for his career. Along the left field line, Desmond drifting over there. 1 down. There is Fernando Rodney. Colorado in the bottom of the 9th. We'll have Gerardo Parra, Trevor Story, and Jonathan Lucroy due up 6, 7, and 8. Torey Lovullo's ball club trying to get its 9th straight win. They would move 5.5 games ahead of these Rockies for that first National League wild card. Ketel Marte, a pair of singles. He's 2 for 4. While we're on the subject, what do you think about the wild card format and the 1-game playoff?
I think it adds a tremendous amount of excitement to the game. I mean, there's nothing like a Game 7. And this 1-game wild card basically creates a Game 7. You can look at it like it's a 1-game playoff, or it's tied up at 3 games apiece going into Game 7. One team is going to go home.
I agree with you. I think it's been a tremendous success. It creates that event viewing. This 1 game, you got to see this game. Baseball can use that. And also, as was really the design, it puts much more emphasis on winning your division.
Sure. Yep.
You want to avoid that 1-game scenario where anything can happen. Well, go ahead and win your division. You have to sort of change your thinking about what a postseason team is.
It's made it a little tougher on general managers to try to determine, are we a team that could sneak into that wild card race somehow where we're positioned right now, or are we better off getting rid of some salary, trading some veterans, and loading up on prospects, and let's go for it next year?
I mean, the Rockies, for instance, I mean, say they get the second wild card, they're 20.5 games behind the team that won or will win their division. There should be some kind of a penalty, for lack of a better word, for that big gap. And that's what the wild card game is. I know some people don't like it. You think, well, you make the postseason, 1 game's not enough. It should be at least 3 or 5. But I think the format has worked out brilliantly.
You start lengthening out that wild card play-in game, and before you know it, you're playing baseball on Christmas Eve.
Well, that's the other thing as Marte draws a walk. You're up against the calendar there because they really don't want to be playing World Series games in November. Even Brian Cashman a few years ago admitted when they were in a race, you know, it didn't matter. You could win the division, win the wild card, or we're in either way. We don't care. And that needed to change. And with the way the Diamondbacks have played at Chase Field this year, 45-23 at home, getting to host that wild card game will be an enormous advantage if they can hang on to this wild card lead. That's one advantage that football has had over baseball, I think. The idea of the big game that night. You know, I got to see the game tonight. It's kind of a one-time event. Watch. Baseball could use more of those games. Like you said, you create that Game 7 atmosphere. That's the only other time you really get one in baseball. Chatwood, the right-hander, starts to loosen. 2-0 on Jake Lamb. Also, I think that in recent years we've seen the wild card teams go on and have great success and make a long postseason run because, as we talked about last night, there's no layoff. You just keep playing.
You have to grind just to get where you want to go.
And teams with big leads like the Dodgers, you know, you're sort of cruising over the last month, and then you have 4 or 5 days off, whatever it is, and then you got to get it cranked up again. And oftentimes that's a trap that a lot of contenders and postseason favorites fall into.
Yeah, over the last 21 World Series, going back to '95, when the wild card era started, if you will, there have been 6 wild card teams that have won the World Series.
What does that tell you? It's good to just stay in that routine. Now, you don't get to line up your pitching maybe exactly the way you want it, but I think the benefit is that you don't ever stop playing.
You don't ever lose your edge. In 2 seasons, 2002 and 2014, the World Series featured 2 wild card teams.
Wild card teams have made deep runs, and you can get Greinke on the mound at Chase Field in that wild card game where he's been so good this year. That's a huge advantage for the Diamondbacks. Now, we all know how good Zach has been at Chase Field all year. Let's see, 13-1.
And in anticipation of that, you'll notice that Greinke has been out on the bench for every pitch of this series so far. He understands that there's a real good chance he's going to face these guys in the biggest game of the season, and he's been watching every pitch these Rockies hitters have seen in this series.
Well, Dunn has come on, issued back-to-back one-out walks. Bud Black has seen enough. They've got the big right-handers coming up, Goldie and Martinez. Look at that. Just saw those numbers there for Zach. That is a tremendous weapon, a big ace to have in your deck in a wild card game at home. Back from Colorado after this. A 4-2 lead in the top of the 9th inning here at Coors Field. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Renly, and Jody Jackson with you. Here's the right-hander Tyler Chatwood. His 27th appearance, an ERA over 5. He'll face Paul Goldschmidt with 2 on and 1 out.
Yeah, Chatwood has had the better of the matchup over the course of their respective careers. Paul Goldschmidt 3 for 18 lifetime against Chatwood. However, he has drawn 8 walks.
Goldie still looking for his first base hit in this series. He was 0 for 3 last night, 0 for 4 tonight. And he's coming up with Marte at second and Lamb at first. Well, Dunn came on and walked 2 in a 2-run game in the 9th. It's time to penalize Colorado for that. That goes back to what you said for your key to the game yesterday. You got to play to the ballpark. You can't make mistakes, commit errors, walk guys. It usually comes back to bite you. See if Goldie can launch one right here. Hard cutter from Chatwood, 0-1. Goldie batting .391 this year with runners in scoring position. That is 3rd best in the majors behind only Daniel Murphy and Nolan Arenado. Jeff Hoffman, who's been a starter most of the year, starting to get loose down there, maybe just getting some work in. Off the fist, Reynolds won't be able to track that one down. D-backs led it 3-0 after a half inning. J.D. Martinez, who's on deck, crushed a long 3-run homer to dead center his first time up off John Gray, his 30th of the year. One and two on Paul Goldschmidt. Spike to Cutter, and Lucroy was able to get in front.
I think his right arm accidentally got in front of that pitch. I've said it many times, there's no such thing as a bad block, but there are painful blocks. Watch where this ball hits him. Oh, up underneath the right elbow. He traps it against his rib cage. It drops right down into his right hand.
In this situation, that's a huge block. Otherwise, it's second and third, and then a single drives in 2 runs. Instead, Marte still at second, Lamb at first. 2 and 2 on Goldie. Everything else in the National League wild card race is done. Milwaukee lost at home to the Washington Nationals. St. Louis at San Francisco. Cardinals lost that 2-1. Marlins hung on and beat the Phillies 10-9 in Miami. Goldie strikes out for the 3rd consecutive time tonight. 2 outs.
Now that was a legitimate slider that time. He's thrown a bunch of cutters out there on the outside part of the plate, but went to the slider that time, got some more downward movement, got Goldie to swing right over it.
Well, here's the guy that's got the big hit, J.D. Martinez. 449 feet to dead center back in the first. 30th home run of the year and his 14th as a Diamondback. 2 on and 2 out. Fernando Rodney is ready in the Diamondback bullpen. Parra, Story, and Lucroy will be the Colorado hitters in the ninth. Rodney threw 15 pitches last night, working the bottom of the ninth. That was not a save situation. Diamondbacks won at 9-5, but Torey Lovullo not taking any chances. Not in a series this big.
When you definitely want to win game 1 of a big series like this if you possibly can. I think that's why Torey pulled out all the stops last night. You want to make sure you get that first one under your belt. And if you split the last 2 games, you feel pretty good going home, taking 2 out of 3 here at Coors Field. If you win tonight, you get greedy tomorrow.
Hey, kind of managed last night like it was a postseason game. Used 7 different relief pitchers, including the closer, with a 4-run lead. J.D. ahead 3-0. A.J. Pollock on deck.
Tyler Chatwood can surprise you. He'll pitch along with that sinker cutter combination, you know, 90, 91, 92, but every now and then if he needs to reach back, he can hit 96, 97 with that 4-seamer.
Martinez knocks it into center. This will get Marte home. Lamb digging for third, and it's 5-2 D-backs. 4th RBI tonight for J.D. Martinez.
Boy, had to go down and get it. That's how strong he is. Our Cox high-speed highlight went down and got a low cutter, blinded into center field. Marte scores easily. Lamb goes first to third. And gives an opportunity here for A.J. Pollock with a couple teammates on base.
You know what that means.
Tacos.
There you go.
Oh, we're rolling.
A.J. doubled in the fourth inning. He's 1 for 4. So he's hit safely in 5 straight games and 7 of his last 8. Runners on the corners, 2 outs, a run is in. One of those walks from Dunn has scored. It's time to get in the other one. Lamb standing down there at third. Bullpen has been busy all night long. Hoffman's been warming up for a while. We saw Rosk up in the game last night. We've got the left-hander Descalso on deck. Oh, and 2. Look out! Oh, that's into the Diamondback dugout. Lamb is home at 6-2. Martinez all the way to third. That was the mother of all bad hops.
Oh, man.
It went onto the roof of the D-back dugout.
I think they're going to have to send Martinez back to second. It looked like that ball went above the dugout, maybe hit some fans up in the stands, and then came back down on the field of play.
That was unbelievable. Watch where this goes.
Well, it barely cleared the grass out there, hit on the dirt way out in front of home plate, and well, actually that hit the facing of the dugout. But the facing of the dugout is considered out of play, so JD will be sent back to second base.
4-run lead now for Torey Lovullo's D-backs. So both those walks that Dunn issued have come in and scored. A 4-2 game is now 6-2 in the ninth. 1-2 on Pollock. Martinez at second. Arenado backhand sets, long throw. They got him. But the Diamondbacks add 2. Bottom 9 on the way. Well, for the second consecutive night, Fernando Rodney comes out of the Diamondback bullpen to work the bottom of the ninth inning with a 4-run lead. It's 6-2 Diamondbacks. They are 3 outs away from a 5.5 game lead over these Rockies for the right to host the National League Wild Card game.
First 3 hitters Rodney is scheduled to face Gerardo Parra, who's 0 for 3 lifetime against Rodney. Trevor Story 0 for 4 lifetime, and Jonathan Lucroy's only faced him once. That was last night. He's 0 for 1.
The last time the Diamondbacks won 9 consecutive games, August of 2011. A win tonight would be their 9th straight. Parra, Story, and Lucroy are the scheduled hitters, 6, 7, and 8 in the Colorado ninth. Parra single in the 5th, 1 for 3. Having a big year, 337 and 10 homers. Rockies have lost 8 of their last 12, and they trail it by 4 in the bottom of the ninth. They're starting to feel it slip away here in Colorado. Rodney last night, 15 pitches, 8 for strikes, had a walk and a strikeout. Ball 1. Playing at Coors Field has not hurt Gerardo Parra's production. He's been better than a .370 hitter in this ballpark this year. Shows bunt, pulls back, takes ball 2. There's that split changeup, 2-2. Colorado with just 4 hits in the ball game tonight. Story on deck. He's 0 for 3. Full count, 3-2. That stays fair for Goldie. 1 down. Jody Jackson standing by. D-Backs Live presented by CenturyLink. The post-game show is coming up next. You'll hear Torey Lovello address the media after the ball game. Jody will take you inside the clubhouse, talk to some D-Backs players after what is hopefully their 2nd consecutive win here in Colorado. Zach Godley on the mound tomorrow afternoon. Pre-game show at 11:30 a.m. Story's got a 7-game hit streak on the line. He's 0 for 3. Trevor Story leading the league in strikeouts. He's already struck out once tonight, so over his last 34 games, he has struck out at least once in every game but one.
Ooh, man, that's not the kind of streak you want to be on.
0-2. It is quiet in here.
Yeah.
Really quiet. 39,000 plus showed up for this one tonight. We're way up here. We can hear coaches yelling from the dugouts. We can hear umpires, bat boys, you name it.
Occasionally our field mics will pick up some enthusiastic fans behind home plate that are trying to help the Rockies hitters. Occasionally they're trying to coach the Diamondbacks hitters.
They've had some very helpful tips. Did he go? Oh, he didn't.
All
Barry
night
down there.
long, Paul Emmel has been calling those check swings without an appeal to the corner base umpires. I think he did check, but I think A.J. Pollock checked. I think a lot of guys checked tonight.
The crew chief behind the plate, 2-2. Well, the last time the Rockies played meaningful September baseball was several years ago, and they just fell from the sky. They lost like 14 of their last 15, and they just tumbled out of it. And you sort of get that sense that they're anticipating the same thing this year, at least the fans are. And it is headed in that direction.
Now that was back in that 2010 season. They actually lost 13 of their last 14 games.
How about that?
As opposed to the 07 season when they won 22 of their last 23.
Lucroy, the catcher, on deck. 1 out, 3-2 on Trevor Story. This is blasted down the left field line and foul. Well, the Rockies since June 21st are just 25-36. That's the 4th worst record in baseball since that date. And it's been tough going lately. They've lost 8 of 12. Broken bat, Marte drifting out to left center. 2 down. Jonathan Lucroy, the catcher, last man standing. Lucroy singled his last time up, a bouncer up the middle. He's 1 for 3, his only hit in the series. If Rodney can finish this thing off, this will be the Diamondbacks' 7th win in their last 10 games here at Coors Field. Pitcher spot up next, Carlos Gonzalez in the on-deck circle. 1-2. I cannot get over how quiet it is in this ballpark. I mean, they've been enjoying this Rockies ride all summer long here, but it's like a golf tournament right now. 1-2 on Jonathan Lucroy. Descalso at second base. Diamondbacks win it. And the D-backs have won 9 in a row. And they stretch their wild card lead over the Colorado Rockies to 5.5 games.
And once again, it starts with outstanding starting pitching. Patrick Corbin continues his run of tremendous starts, and the bullpen comes in today and puts zeros on the board after Patrick's 5 1/3. Great team effort here tonight.
Andrew Chafin got a huge strikeout. Archie Bradley worked the 8th. Rodney a 1-2-3 9th. The Diamondbacks have now led for 52 consecutive innings. They are 20 games over 500, 78-58, and a 5.5 game lead over the Rockies for the right to host the National League wild card game. The D-backs stretch their winning streak to 9 straight. Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink. The post-game show is next. 6-2, D-backs win it. More from Coors Field after this.